Hey, back today for another vibe coding live stream. Let me make sure I got Twitch open here. Okay, cool. Nice. So on the last live stream, we're able to get the OpenAI Realtime API integration completed. And we walk through some basic intents here. And so now the OpenAI model is actually handling the speech to text, the reasoning, the tool calling. So it's doing all that. So before you had a chained architecture where one service was handling speech to text, another service was handling some of the reasoning. And then another service was handling some of the text to speech. But now a lot of that, or now all of that's happening inside of the voice layer. So OpenAI has a single model that's able to do the speech to text, the text to speech, and the tool calling and reasoning inside of one model. Which is pretty sweet. And let me go ahead and put let's open up Discord here. Just gonna post the YouTube link in the Discord. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and have Gemini 3.1 Pro start the LangGraph tunnels. And then we're going to do a test live call here. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking into a tool called LangGraph, or a framework called LangGraph, which is a orchestration framework. So it's a we're going to pretty much put a node graph on top of the LangGraph framework. So probably use React Flow or an open source React framework to help us set up our workflow or our node graph. And then the LangGraph has a lot of helpful methods built in to help us with tool calling and agent orchestration. And so we're going to kind of be understanding LangGraph today, understanding how we're going to be using LangGraph. And then my goal today, and today might be kind of a shorter stream, but my goal today is to wire up this voice layer together with LangGraph, and we're going to put a front end on top of LangGraph. So first, let me come into the Discord here. Let me just paste the YouTube URL. Good. Okay, so first thing too is I'm actually going to open up the Codex app. So it looks like OpenAI did release, I think, Codex 5.4 or GPT 5.4. Based on the work last week, fast could have saved about 46 minutes. I'm just going to use standard mode for now. So first I'm going to say I want to come into this plan that we worked on the last stream when we built out the Realtime API. And let me just pull up for anyone that's new to the stream or not familiar with what we're doing. So right now we're building out the agents business. We also have a telematics video business that we've been working on, building risk tools for companies that have fleets. But we're also building agents, or really mini digital employees. And so I had built out an agent system in the past, and I built it with the chained architecture where I had different services handling speech to text and text to speech and orchestration. And when I built out that chained architecture, I noticed that there was a lot of latency. So every time it had to hop, go over the cell network, hop between microservices, that was all adding to the latency. And so I kind of walked away from that project for a bit because I had tested out the voice agent on different people, or different people helped me experiment with the voice agent and help me test it. And there was a lot of latency there and felt kind of robotic. But now OpenAI has a new API called the OpenAI Realtime API. And so on the last stream, we're able to integrate Twilio. So we're able to make outbound calls right now. And we built a new voice layer called Voice Edge High Noon. And we wired that up with the OpenAI Realtime API. And so today what we're going to do is I'm actually going to do a real-time API test call. But then what we're going to do is we're going to start working on our really like our agent orchestration or our workflow node graph. So we're going to have LangGraph sitting really as the backbone of that orchestration. So LangGraph is a open source framework for agent orchestration that has a lot of helpful methods that we can hook into. And then we're going to put a node graph on top of that, and we're just going to try to wire it together with our OpenAI real-time API. First thing I'm going to do is I just want to make a test call for the stream here. So I'm going to say, can you start my ngrok tunnels? In a Twilio, we're going to have to update the webhooks here. Okay. Okay, it looks like we're starting up our front end and our back end. One really interesting thing happened on the last stream is at some point the back end service started in a sandbox. And so I had been starting the back end and the front end services, and we were integrated with Twilio. And so our backend service was passing an authentication details to Twilio. Then all of a sudden I started getting this forbidden error, which was a little different. Usually if it's like an authentication or an API key error, there'd be some API error with some description that's related to the API key. This error just was like a forbidden. I think it's a 404. I forget what the exact status code is. And so I really was having a challenge. Gemini 3.1 Pro was having a challenge figuring out why we were getting that forbidden error. It kept wanting to say, hey, you have getting this forbidden error. It must be the authentication key. But I rotated the key, added the key again, and I was still getting the same error over and over. And finally, and this is a scenario where Codex was actually able to figure it out, and Gemini 3.1 Pro wasn't able to figure it out. But pretty much Codex looked through the backend service, looked into the sandboxes that Cursor had open, and it was able to help me determine that sandbox didn't have the right proxies. So I guess for some reason Twilio, didn't like that request coming from that sandbox, or the request couldn't make it back inside of the sandboxes. We didn't have the proxy set up. I'm not an expert on proxies, but that's kind of what happened. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go update these webhooks. Let's go update these webhooks in Twilio. Let's see. And if anyone's having any difficulty hearing me, or if the music's too loud or my voice is too loud, just let me know. We're about to set up these webhooks. So I'll just show a screenshot of what I'm doing here. So right now I'm going into Twilio, and Twilio wants you to set up these webhooks, right? And so what I did is I just started up some ngrok tunnels. So my backend service can have like a publicly exposed endpoint that Twilio can send these webhooks to. So I just booted up. Okay, cool. Hey, Imperium. Yeah, so today I'm about to build a node graph on top of an open source framework called LangGraph. So I pulled down this open source framework called LangGraph. And so we're going to go look into this. And this is a framework for agent orchestration and to help with agent tool calling. It's a very, very popular agent orchestration framework. And so and today won't be a super long stream, but the plan today is to take LangGraph, put maybe use another open source framework called React Flow to put a node graph up, a node graph front end on top of LangGraph. And then we're going to try to wire that together with the OpenAI Realtime API voice layer. And then we're going to think through maybe some of the schema of how we're going to add, whenever we add a new node to the node graph, where does that data live, and what does that schema look like, and are we going to put it into the database, or where are we going to store it? Right now I'm just going to do another quick test call. We're going to get these set up here. Okay. So what I'm going to try to do now is make a phone call. Let's see. Okay, let's try this phone call.
Hi there. I'm Bill from BlueCactus AI. How can I assist you today?
Hey, so are you I guess how's it going today? How are you doing?
I'm just a virtual assistant. No personal feelings here. But I'm ready and available to help you. What can I do for you today?
Okay, and what product, I guess, are you selling?
I'm here to provide information and support for BlueCactus AI. What would you like to know more about?
How much does the product cost?
The cost can vary depending on the specific product or service you're interested in. Could you tell me which one you're asking about?
Yeah, I don't know. I having like a technical difficulty or something. It's kind of hard to hear you.
I'm sorry about that. Let me repeat myself. The cost varies based on the product or service. Can you tell me which one you're interested in?
I'm interested in cameras and GPS trackers, but I have a little hesitation. I'm kind of concerned about price.
I understand your concern. Let me get you detailed pricing information on cameras and GPS trackers. Would you like me to send you an email with the details?
Yeah, I'm kind of busy right now though.
No problem. When would be a better time for me to follow up with you? I'll let you go for now. Feel free to reach out when you have
Well,
time.
hold on. You're going to let me go?
I apologize. I'll let you go now. Have a great day.
What's the weather today?
I'm unable to provide the weather update. You might want to check your phone's weather app for the latest information.
So like one thing, and we can start adding maybe some tickets to the GitHub, but one thing we got to do is get it to actually hang up. And this is just very basic. So what we have to do is we need to get a node graph where customers can start to define these intents, right? Or these tools or these conditions, right? So pretty much a node graph or some sort of graph where a customer on the front end can start to give descriptions of these different intents. And then the idea is that, okay, well, maybe for a certain intent or a certain condition that we need to collect some sort of parameters. Maybe it's an email. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So we want to keep Imperium. We want to keep the scope of the responses very tight. And maybe no matter what, we never want to go, because we don't want to just talk and talk and talk and talk. Like if a customer just starts small talking for an hour, right, that's going to get very pricey. So we want to keep it very short and sweet. Exactly. So, and here's like the opening instructions. So start with a warm sentence introducing yourself as Bill from BlueCactus API or BlueCactus AI. Then ask one short question about how we can help. So what I'm going to do now is one thing I'm going to do is ask Codex. I want to pull in this plan. I just want to see Codex's thoughts on the work that we completed, the new 5.4 model. So I'm going to grab this plan that we built out, come to the Codex app, pop in the plan, and I'm going to say, we implemented phase 1 of this plan, the OpenAI Realtime API voice layer. I want you to do a detailed review of the code that we implemented to get the Realtime API integration working. I want you to look for any methods that we're not using, any unused methods that are outside of the scope, any unnecessary sanitization, any unnecessary fallbacks. I want to keep this incredibly simple, as simple as we can make it. Give me a detailed review and your thoughts on the phase 1 implementation. Do not make any code changes. Again, we want to try to keep this as simple as possible. So if a human wants to review the code, they'll be able to understand it. Also, try to identify any slop. Remember, do not make any code changes. This is just a review pass. Okay, so we're going to let 5.4 start cooking on that. Then we're going to come in here, and I'm going to come back to cursor, and I'm going to say, first I'm going to open up a new agent, and I'm just going to say, can you review the LangGraph code? I want to understand what method name or what methods are available in LangGraph and how those methods can help us with agent orchestration. We're planning on wiring together the LangGraph backend, putting a React Flow front end on top of that, and wiring it together with the OpenAI Realtime API. The plan is we need to build out a schema or a plan for how we're going to store this information in Postgres. So our users will open up some sort of node graph and enter in the details of their nodes. So if they have an intent, they can enter in that intent and detail it with a name, description, parameters. I want you to review LangGraph and then help me understand what the best practice is for this and how others in the industry handle orchestration. Do not make any code changes yet. Again, this is just for us to understand the methods that are available in LangGraph and how we can maybe use them to handle orchestration. I want to keep this incredibly simple. Do not make any code changes yet. This is just brainstorming. That's kind of a chunky one, but let's you know what? I want to see how Gemini actually handles this first. Hold on. Let's pause this. Let's try Gemini here. Okay. And yeah, so let me also pull up GitHub. I might actually, Imperium, go ahead and get your two-factor authentication. Let me come in here. Go to authenticator. GitHub. Oh, I gotta go to the GitHub app. Okay. GitHub app. Come to BlueCactus AI organization. Okay. Yeah, actually, we haven't pushed this repository. One thing I'm going to do too is I want to can you check the Git status of the services that we modified? We need to make a checkpoint. So now that we have the voice agent working, we're going to go ahead and make a commit to make sure we have a checkpoint here, because we know, hey, at least we're able to get the integration working with Twilio and OpenAI, and so I think it's a good place to go ahead and add a checkpoint. Headless framework, where the backend WordPress is used. Any fun? I'm building my own Next.js framework. Hey, yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, to work better with WordPress. Yeah, you know, I've managed a WordPress site, and you know, WordPress is amazing for people that it's an amazing no-code solution, but it does get kind of heavy with too many plugins, right? And then when the site is slow, that really hurts you with SEO, right? So that's interesting, Imperium. That seems like a good idea. Yeah, really good idea. You know, I might end up you'll have to keep me updated on that, because I do have I have a business that's using WordPress and WooCommerce, and it's great. and we have the image sizes as small as we can make them. You know, the site has been optimized for SEO. But you know, any type of speed increase is helpful, right? But the site is not the fastest site in the world. But I've had good luck with WooCommerce and WordPress. You know, it's definitely been helpful. Okay. Okay. Service using, okay. So I'm gonna say okay, can you CD into these services and commit these changes with a short and sweet commit message? Okay. Okay, good. So we committed these changes, which is good. Now let's come back to Gemini is starting to help us think about LangGraph and how we're going to get LangGraph working. I am frequently testing page speed insight score and SEO thing. Beautiful. Nice, Aperio. Okay, so let's see. One of the most successful approaches I ever had with SEO is, and I don't know, I haven't been involved in SEO in a long time, but obviously, you know, you want your meta description, you want meta descriptions on all your images, you want your robots.txt. But one thing that really helped was backlinks, right? And backlinks are kind of very hard to get. But my understanding was always, if you were able to get a backlink from a site that had higher authority than you, that was very helpful. And the way I always thought about that is, if the way the Google bots kind of crawl the internet is by crawling these backlinks. And that was the way I understood it. But at one point, what I did was I looked for media companies that were in a vertical that I was targeting. So like for the fleet telematics video business, I would reach out to like a construction magazine. And I'd ask the construction magazine, hey, you know, we have a solution that your audience might be interested in. Can I do a free guest editorial? And sometimes they'd say no, sometimes they'd say yes. And so sometimes they'd say, yeah, sure, you can do a free guest editorial. And then I'd write an article about my business and my solutions, but position it towards their audience. And then I would backlink to my website. So I'd just put a hyperlink on the article that went back to my website. And that seemed like it definitely helped. You know, every time we work with marketing agencies, they sometimes are reluctant to do that. Hey, looks like we have a good amount of people in here. Hey, everybody. So we're working on a couple different projects here. One of them is the agent's business. So let me come back here and say, can you open and follow the logs? I'm going to make a test call here, guys. So I just integrated the OpenAI Realtime API. And and pretty much OpenAI released the OpenAI Realtime API recently, and that API will do speech to text and text to speech and tool calling, all inside of one model. So just for some basic testing right now, I set up some basic intents here for the OpenAI real-time model. So here's the different intents that we have. We have a small talk intent. We have a clarification if the user asks for clarification. We have human verification, technical difficulty, express hesitation, not interested, or busy now. And let's see, let's open up these logs here. So what I can do is I'm going to actually make a phone call, an outbound call to my phone using the Twilio network. And so I'll just show you the architecture that we're kind of working on right now. So on the last stream, we were able to get our new voice layer set up, and this is built using Go. So any of like our hot path services right now, I'm building them out using the language Go. And this is integrated with Twilio and the OpenAI Real-Time API. And so I'm going to go ahead and just make a test phone call since some people just jumped into the stream. And so everyone can hear kind of what the latency or how natural it sounds, the new OpenAI Real-Time API. So let me come back and make this phone call here. And today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be also setting up LangGraph backend. So we're going to put a node graph front end on top of LangGraph and then wire that together with the OpenAI real-time API. So let me come. Okay, let's make this phone call. Nice. So we're making the outbound call.
I'm Bill from BlueCactus AI. How can I assist you today?
Hey, what's your name again? Are you sure you're a human?
I'm Bill, and I'm an AI assistant, not a human. I'm here to help you with any questions or tasks you have. How can I assist you today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of interested in your products, but I do have a little hesitation. What's the pricing?
It's great to hear you're interested. Our pricing depends on the specific services you're looking for. Could you tell me a bit more about what you're interested in so I can provide more detailed information?
Yeah, or I guess what services do you have?
We offer a range of AI solutions, including customer service support, data analysis, and virtual assistant services. If you let me know what you're most interested in, I can give you more specific detail.
What's the weather where you're at?
I don't have weather conditions since I'm not in a physical location, but I can help you find the weather in your area if you'd like. Would that be helpful?
Not really.
No problem. How about we get back to discussing the services you're interested in? What else can I help you with today?
What are you doing this weekend?
I don't have personal plans or weekends since I'm an AI. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
What do you mean you're an AI? I thought I was talking to BlueCactus AI.
That's right. You're speaking with BlueCactus AI, and I'm Bill, the AI assistant here to help you.
Well, hold on. I'm kind of
not a
busy.
human.
I'm kind of busy. Do you
To
have
make our
availability?
conversation as natural and helpful as possible. How can I assist you further? I understand. Would you like to schedule a better time for us to talk?
Sure.
Great. What time works best for me to call you back?
Next month.
All right. I'll make a note to reach out next month. If you need anything before then, feel free to get in touch. Take care.
Okay. So just wanted to give that demo for the stream. So So that's the voice agent, and I wasn't paying perfect attention there. But what I'm trying to do right now is get it to kind of skate outside the lines a little bit, and I need to think through the right questions to ask to see, because at some point we might have to put some guardrails or try to improve these instructions, right, to make sure that the model doesn't like kind of go outside the curbs, if that makes sense. But let's go back, and I'm going to turn on a little air conditioning here. It's kind of hot in here. Hold on. 1 second. Hold on, bear with me real quick. 1 second. Okay, I got the air on. All right, so let's go back to this other chat here, and let's start understanding LangGraph and how it can maybe help us. Okay, so review of the current LangGraph code. So looking at this service, so this is our service where we're going to handle some of our orchestration. So you currently have a very straightforward linear set. I always mispronounce that, but linear. You defined a schema: messages, caller ID, collected data with reducers. Okay. XA Giants. Okay, so we're about to look at the LangGraph orchestration features here. And okay, let's see. So let's see. This is for orchestration. Okay, here are the key LangGraph methods for orchestration. Let's see. So we've got LangGraph is essentially a state machine for tailored for LLMs. Here are the core methods and how they help with orchestration. So we've got the state graph. This defines the memory of your agent. As the agent moves from node to node, it reads and updates this state. So that's how the agent's going to remember on each turn of the conversation what it did. Here's add name. Nodes are where the work happens. In an advanced setup, you wouldn't have one giant tool node. You would have a node for the LLM, a node for RAG, a node for booking. Got it. Here's add an edge. Forces the graph to always go from node A to node B. Add conditional edges. This is the most important method for orchestration. It allows the graph to make decisions. For example, the routing function looks at the LLM output. If the LLM decided to call a tool, it routes to tool node. It routes to end. Okay. So these are conditions. Here's memory saver. So this is like a method where we can, at some point during the conversation, we can store the state into Postgres. Okay, here we are brainstorming the architecture. So, how does the industry handle a visual node-based builders like VoiceFlow, LangFlow, or FlowWise? Okay, so this is exactly what we're going to do right here. We're about to put a React Flow front end on top of LangGraph. So here's the Postgres schema plan. Okay, so I want to do something incredibly simple. So I want to figure out how we can okay, right now we have these instructions hard-coded in the voice layer main.go file. I'm going to say if we want to set this up dynamically using React Flow on top of LangGraph, and then set up tables in Postgres to handle this, what would be your approach to do this? Do not make any changes yet. Just help me think through this. Think about this here. And what language are you going to use, Aperium, to build that tool you're working on? I guess you're actually building like a framework, right? Okay, so... Okay, this is the perfect next step, moving from a hard-coded string in Go to a dynamic database-driven graph. Is exactly how enterprise conversational AI platforms like Ratel, Bland, or VoiceFlow are built. Here's how I'd approach breaking down that specific main.go string into React Flow plus Postgres plus LangGraph. Deconstructing the prompt. Okay, right now your prompt has 4 distinct parts: persona, intents, guardrails. I like that. I like the way it's thinking about that. Oh, nice. Comported. I love that. That's pretty cool. I'm really interested in Rust. One amazing thing about the LLMs is, like, I would have never wrote a service in Go. I would have never probably tried to write a service in like a more low-level language just because I wasn't familiar. You know, really, I was familiar with like Java, Node, and then you know, TypeScript, JavaScript, front end stuff. Rust based, awesome, cool. We got 2 people in chat working on Rust. That's pretty cool. I love the Rust little mascot, the little I think they call it like a Rustation or something. whatever it's called. It's cute. Okay, so right now your prompt has 4 distinct parts. We need to normalize this into a database schema. Okay. Voice ID for the text-to-speech engine. Okay, base prompt. You're an AI phone assistant. Opening message guardrails. Edges. The connections. So we got a nodes table, then we have an edges table, and we have an agents table. You're using OpenAI Realtime API, you have to handle state carefully. The Realtime API expects a session.update with a system prompt. Approach a dynamic prompt assembly. Instead of LangGraph routing every single conversational tool, a call comes into VoiceEdge High Noon. Go makes a quick HTTP request to your backend. Your backend reads the Postgres DB. It stitches the agents table and all the nodes. One massive string, but generated on the fly. It returns one string. Go passes that dynamically generated string into the OpenAI real-time WebSocket. This is pretty cool stuff right here. Ferris the crab. Okay. There you go, yeah. Ferris the crab. When I build my first Rust tool, I'm gonna have to maybe get one of these little plushies or something. So, okay, so let's see here. So here's approach A, which I kind of like approach A. If busy now requires actually checking a calendar or not interested requires updating a CRM, you need LangGraph. So React Flow, call me later. Yeah, node in progress executes any custom logic. Is acting as a configuration in the audio router. So interesting. So one, approach A. So in approach A, we would still be using LangGraph to help us stitch together the nodes, edges, and the agent info, right? Or if we went with option A, do we even need LangGraph? Eventually we are going to be integrating Google Calendar and hooking into other third-party services is the plan. Give me your thoughts on this. So open code FN, you know, I personally like the IDE. Simply, I just need to look through the code sometimes, right? It's not enough for me to just be reviewing the diffs only in the terminal. You know, it's helpful for me to kind of be able to open up the code. And I personally think that Cursor has a pretty amazing harness. Also, you know, Cursor, and I don't know if it's because of the fork from VS Code, but it's very fast. Cursor is very fast. And I was very familiar. I used VS Code for a long time. And then I was using GitHub Copilot. Interesting, FN. Okay, so they have a plugin for VS Code, Open Code. Oh, I got what you're saying. You just open up the terminal in VS Code and just use Open Code inside of your terminal. Got like right here. I would just open up a terminal and it's kind of just like I could go codex right here, right? And update codex. Or I could open up codex right there. Yeah. Cool. You know, I do like the terminal, and you know, if the agents get intelligent enough, I can see how you know, the IDE, there's a lot of overhead with the GUI. You know, and if one day the models really are so intelligent that we never need to go review through code, I'm still running like production systems and stuff, and so there's moments where I do need to kind of read through the code. And so that's kind of why I still like the IDE. And then I'm using Cursor BugBot too, which I found to be pretty damn helpful. So here, let's see. You do not need LangGraph. Builder. On third-party services, approach A alone will fail you. Okay. Stitch together the persona, the guardrails, and the simple conversational intents, like small talk, not interested, into a system prompt, and you pass this to Go. Our action, like check calendar, book meeting, you define these as tools. Got it. Prompt tomorrow, the Realtime API pauses its audio, outputs a function tool call for check calendar, and hands control to your backend. Just write a hard-coded script to hit the Google API, but as you add more integrations, that becomes a nightmare. A meeting, fetch user time zone, query calendar, API, filter out conflicts, format available slots for speech. Well, my plan is we also may need the traditional RAG. Can LangGraph help us with the RAG orchestration too? And memory, right? LangGraph has memory methods where we can store the memory. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to start building out a plan. Okay, so we probably want to go with option B, right? Let's keep the LangGraph involved. So tell me in a very concise way what the approach would be if we keep using LangGraph. And guys, if anyone's new here, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Really, this channel, we're doing a lot of vibe coding live on this channel. If you haven't seen my other products too, you can go check out some of my old live streams. We're working on really two different businesses. We have the telematics video business where we're working on risk tools for fleets. So really any company that has a fleet of vehicles, a service company, long haul transportation, last mile distribution, really anyone that's interested in safety and maintaining a safe fleet of vehicles, or any business that's concerned about carbon footprint, or concerned about optimization. You know, I have a telematics video business to help them do that. So we're using open source AI models to try to do risk scoring and build risk tools to help predict risky events and get in front of them. And then we're also building out this agents business, which is really mini digital employees. And so we're building out agents that we're going to end up deploying into the telematics video business. And so we're going to focus on that telematics video vertical first. So probably we're going to be deploying like support agents, sales agents. Like my customers will get certain events from the dash camera they have in their vehicles. And as soon as those events come in, we can make a phone call, a text message, an email to our customers with an agent. And then the customer can ask the agent questions, or if they want to talk to a human, they can ask the agent to talk to a human. So right now, just building out the voice agents architecture, the system design. So we had built this using the chained architecture, but now we've completely refactored it and we integrated the OpenAI Realtime API, which is pretty cool. Okay, so let's see here. Voice is fast, LangGraph is smart. Okay. So this is the plan here. So React Flow. So we're going to visually build their agents in React Flow. Check calendar, query RAG, send SMS. We got our edges, and all of this is going to get saved in Postgres. This is where we call our backend service to set up the OpenAI Realtime API WebSocket. So we're only going to call LangGraph so orchestration and memory for tool calling. So I'm going to say okay, so since we're not doing any tool calling yet, how should we handle this? I want to break this up into phases. I guess the first phase, we can set up the React Flow front end and get these tables set up in Postgres. I have Postgres installed with Homebrew locally, and we can use that. We're also using Redis. So where does Redis fit in? And when exactly are we going to checkpoint the memory during the conversation, or how can we think through this? Or just switching up the music here. Okay. All right, here we go. No tool calling yet. Okay. You build a simple canvas. The user fills out the persona, instruction nodes onto the canvas, and connect them to the main agent. When the user hits save, it writes your agents and node tables to Postgres. Okay. The backend. Okay, Redis is your high-speed ephemeral layer. The phone rings, especially if you scale up. The React Flow Graph, your backend compiles the prompt and saves it to Postgres, but also caches the final compiled string in Redis. When Go needs a prompt, it hits Redis for a millisecond response. When we introduce LangGraph, LangGraph needs to save its state. While Postgres can do this, using Redis as the LangGraph checkpointer is much faster for active, rapid-fire voice conversations. How and when should we checkpoint memory? Millisecond to millisecond conversational memory. LangGraph handles the event-driven business memory. So here's where the checkpointing actually happens. Okay, so during normal chit-chat, the user will say hello, then Bill's going to respond. LangGraph's not even awake yet. When an intent is triggered, this would be a tool call. Go sends this to LangGraph, receives the tool call, saves its state to Redis, receives the tool call and saves its state to Redis. Got it. To its state. Returns the results to Go. At the end, when the Twilio hangs up, Go grabs the entire final transcript from and sends it to your backend to be saved permanently in Postgres for analytics, call logs, and long-term RAG memory. Okay. Okay, this is making sense. This is making sense. Let me think here. So, no tool calling yet. Okay, cool. Truth. Okay, so what services would we be modifying to make this happen? Let's drop off this wood. Okay, so pretty much trying to understand, like, when do we use Postgres? When do I use LangGraph? Right now, the way I'm thinking about it is we're going to have a node React node graph, which we're about to see it. We're going to build it in a minute. We're going to have a React node graph where, like, these intents that you see here, these are not what we're going to call tool calls yet. But these are like intents, or we're calling them like a agent persona and guardrails, and intents. It's kind of still thinking through the semantics of all these terminology. But pretty much we're going to have a node graph where you're going to define these intents here, right? And like different businesses will have different intents that they're concerned with. You're going to enter that into the node graph. That is going to get stored into Postgres tables once you click save on the node graph. Then once a phone call comes in or we make a phone call, we open up that OpenAI real-time WebSocket. Then we're going to go fetch that from Postgres or possibly Redis. Still kind of thinking through that. Maybe actually Redis, because it's faster, I think. Even faster than Postgres. Fetch it from Redis or Postgres. Pass all of these intents as a big string to the OpenAI Realtime API. And then if there's a tool call, and so a tool call would be something like book a meeting where we got to go check Google Calendar, or what's another tool call? Maybe pass off a human handoff. Maybe they want to talk to a human. Maybe that's a tool call. I need to think through of other tool call examples, but that's kind of the idea right now. So let me see. So we have okay, we have this existing front end. I want to modify this front end. In the dialog graph runtime trail boss service, we already had some scaffolding set up to hook into LangGraph, right? Do not make any changes yet, just answer me. As I reviewed earlier, you already have the core LangGraph scaffolding set up. Okay, so in one of these services, we already kind of set up some of the scaffolding for LangGraph. So where is it? Here you go. So like here's an endpoint to receive tool calls. Okay, now I want you to review, before we move forward with this, I want you to review mem 0 the directory mem0, and also the directory openclaw. Review the code in these services and let me know if there's any learnings that we can take from either how they're handling memory storage or agent orchestration, or some learnings that we could take from these services, or some design patterns that might be helpful. This might get a little confusing here. Probably shouldn't have done that right now, but it's okay for now. Try to keep the scope as small, keep the scope small so things don't get overly complicated. But I am curious. I know there's another service called Superhuman, I believe, or Super Memory, that I might want to look into. Okay. I've reviewed both mem0 and openclaw. They both contain excellent production-grade patterns. Its architecture gives us great blueprint. See, the thing is all this key value caching, I think the Realtime API is handling a lot of that. So we don't really need to be, I don't think, be thinking about like the attention mechanism as much, but let's keep thinking about this. Categories. Okay, procedural memory versus episodic memory. This is what I'm interested in, this stuff here. Our takeaway, our React Flow nodes, procedural memory. What the user said is episodic memory. Okay, here's an interesting thing, guys. So you've got the instructions on how to handle it intents. There's a term called procedural memory. So I guess this is kind of like the intents are kind of like a procedure, right? And then you have what the user said is episodic memory. So kind of interesting to think about memory with this new terminology. That's actually the first time I've heard this. I've heard episodic memory, but I wasn't really exactly certain what the context of that was, or what the meaning of that was. Let's see. We should keep these strictly separated. Good. They use a memory-based class, abstracting away the underlying database. Okay. So we'll abstract away. So it's almost like is that like an MCP server almost? We should, a single memory manager class. Abstracted storage layer. It's just some class that abstracts away the connections between Redis and Postgres, I guess. Let's see. Okay. So then we have openclaw is a robust TypeScript agent framework. Their approach to scoping and RAG is highly relevant in our phase 2. So guys, if you've never done this before, one amazing thing with LLM is, if there is open source projects, which I'm always open to looking at all open source projects, seeing if we can use them, and then if we need to maybe extend them, start thinking about, should we contribute to this open source project? At some point, I have a plan to, we're going to be open sourcing some stuff. Still kind of thinking through exactly what it'll be, but one idea I have is to open source this. But one thing you can do with LLM is, if there are open source projects out there that are popular, you can clone them and then use the LLM to read through the project just to get learnings and understandings, right, of what the design patterns are. And so, the idea is not to just copy the code blocks and bring them into your code base. I mean, if it has an MIT license, you can use that code inside of your code base depending on what the open source license is. But the idea more is like, there's nothing proprietary about the pattern that's being used for RAG, or the pattern that's being used, the pattern that's being used for agent orchestration, right? Or the design choices. It's very similar from my understanding of different projects that are all working on agent orchestration. There's a very similar methodology of how to handle this stuff. So just kind of reading through these projects, understanding how they handled it, and then just take that as learning. So let's keep moving forward here. Okay, so it's highly relevant to our phase 2. Every agent has a strictly defined configuration. Okay, and every interaction is bound to a session key. Should mirror this exact structure. Furthermore, when Go talks to LangGraph, we must always pass the Twilio as the session key. This is how LangGraph's checkpointer will know which conversation thread to pull from Redis. Gotcha. Hybrid search and embedding caching. They don't just use vector search for RAG. And full text search, and they merge the results. They also cache embeddings. The knowledge base node in React Flow. We should plan for hybrid search. The voice latency low. Got it. Our phase 1 plan is the right path. Propose Postgres schema based on these learnings. Agents table, agent skills, or nodes. I kind of like skills. Okay, I like this. I think starting with the schema makes sense. I also want to be able to, in the node graph, we need to be able to have a user identify parameters that they want to collect, or they want the OpenAI real-time model to try to collect these parameters. So I want you to think about that too. So show me the exact schema that we would use. Yes, Imperium. Okay, so here's like an example of the schema that we're going to use. So we've got one table called agents, right? We've got our unique ID, where we just generate a random UUID. We've got a name, the voice ID. So this is where maybe for like high stakes calls, you could maybe use 11 Labs or a more expensive text to speech model. Maybe we could allow them to choose which voice model they want to use. Identity prompt. So this is where we kind of give it an identity, right? Then we have the agent nodes. So UUID, okay. Here's the agent ID. Here's a cascading delete. It's been a while since I thought about this, but pretty much if this references, I guess, agent's ID, and I think if agent's ID maybe gets deleted, it does a cascading delete also to this table. Not important to really think about yet right now, I don't think. But here's React Flow specific data. So this is some data that's coming from React Flow. Here's the business logic data. Okay. Here's parameters stored in JSON-B. So this is JSON binary, I guess. And this is what the LLM needs to extract. Then here we have agent edges, and here's sessions. Okay, and these sessions, I guess, are going to be we're using the Twilio call ID. And then this is how parameter collection works. So let's see. Okay, so let's see. So how parameter collection works with the schema. The magic happens in the parameter schema, okay. Column, okay. I'm gonna say, okay, let's go ahead and start building a plan for this. I think I'm feeling pretty good about this. What we might do is we might get one more repository. Curious how they're handling it in this tool here. Hold on. It's called Super Memory. Can you clone this repository? Then I want you to review this code the same way that you reviewed OpenClaw and Mem0, and review the design patterns and how they handle memory. And let me know if there's any learnings that we can take from this code. It's gonna... Let me check something on this laptop real quick. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. Let's see what Google said about super memory. Oh, still reviewing the code. Or see what Gemini thinks about super memory. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to have it describe all of the learnings we got from Mem0, OpenClaw, and super memory. And then, here we go, version control for memories. If the user says, I live in New York, and a month later says, I just moved to SF, you shouldn't delete that, nor should just append the SF memory. Is latest. Okay, so this is interesting. So this is like a concept where, you know, the facts kind of evolve, right? So maybe you told the model one thing 2 days ago, and then each day you keep telling the model something new. And now the things that you told the model 2 days ago are still relevant, right? But maybe the relevancy kind of decays as time goes by. So maybe the latest item that you told the model maybe is the most relevant and the most important, but data that you told the model, as time passes, maybe the relevancy of that data kind of decays. So they have some sort of methodology thinking through this with memory. Honestly, this memory stuff and how to handle the memory is actually fascinating. Interesting. So, like, if the caller says, I'm driving right now, call me back in an hour, that memory is useless tomorrow, right? Our LangGraph nodes should be able to flag short-term context with a forget after timestamp. Container tags for scoping. On the phone and later text via SMS, we can retrieve their memory using a phone number tag. I like that. I like tags. The tool engine implementation. They map standard CRUD operations directly to LLM tool calls. Phase 2 plan. This talk, it should emit specific structured JSON commands that our backend executes. Okay, so very concisely, tell me the learnings that we got from these open source projects in a very concise way, and then give me the full schema again. So separating procedural versus episodic memory, right? Then we've got a memory over memory evolution, right? So maybe the memory, the latest memory is more relevant than the oldest memory, maybe, right? And so temporal forgetting, so allow the LLM to set expirations on memory as well, right? So and then store required parameters as JSON schemas. Okay. So let's go ahead and build a plan now. And break this into phase 1 and phase 2, and then we'll go ahead and execute the plan. And guys, if you haven't already, guys and gals, please like and subscribe and follow. It helps push the content out to more people, and it really means a lot. If you're interested in vibe coding, we're doing a lot of vibe coding live on this channel. If you're interested in like agentic workflows, I make videos on that. If you're interested in just high-level AI discussion, I also have some videos on that. And if you're interested in the community, you can join at discord.bluecactus.ai, and I'm going to put it in chat here. Let's get it in Twitch too. And let's pin this. Okay. Let's put it in Twitch. Nice. And pin it in Twitch. Cool. So, let's see here. Let's go ahead and build this plan. Okay, I want you to go ahead and build out a plan for this, separate it into phase 1 and phase 2, or as many phases as you need. We want to be incredibly delicate as we implement this. All right, we're in plan mode. And let's see, actually, while we wait for the plan to build, I've isolated the likely phase 1 surface. Sources directly. Okay, here we go. The LangGraph tool. So this is when we ask Codex to just review the implementation from the last stream. I just want to read through this real quick. Let's see. It's not actually wired. Let's look. Hold on. I'll make sure the stream can see this. Okay, we knew this already. We knew the LangGraph scaffolding wasn't wired up, which is fine. It's telling us it's bypassing auth, which is fine for now. We're eventually going to wire up auth. Maybe not on this stream, but the next stream. Trailboss is carrying future phase scope and abstraction it doesn't need. Okay, this is just saying that Trailboss maybe was set up to be able to extend it, but we haven't extended it yet, which is fine. Branches. Okay, the fallback's fine. Dead weight in the slice. Okay. Really, its only concern is this half-wired scaffolding, but we already knew that the scaffolding wasn't wired up yet. Okay, so here we go. So we got the Canvas builder, we got Postgres, and then we got the Redis cache. Engine. Okay. Real-time fetches prompt. Okay, so here's the architecture here. Cool. So here's phase one. So replace the hard-coded build in Go with dynamic fetch from Postgres Redis without changing how the AI actually talks. Okay. Okay, I want to make sure we use the existing front end. Okay, I want to use our existing front end service, and I don't want to create any new directories or new services right now. We should be able to modify our existing front-end service. Go read through the front-end code and see if you see our current debug page. We should be able to extend this front-end code to include our canvas. Okay. Cool. All right, let's see if we can do this. Let's get back to the bank here. Okay, nice. All right, let's read the plan. Okay. So if anyone has questions about this architecture or maybe different suggestions, you know, I'm all ears. I'm open to having discussion. If anyone else is building agents, you know, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this stuff too. You know, some of this stuff's pretty standard. You know, it looks like some of these memory solutions have different ways they handle memory. I'm not sure if any of them are really novel. I know I haven't, I need to look into some of these projects a little more to see how much adoption they really have. But just pretty straightforward, I think, agents architecture here. Let me see. The dynamic prompt foundation, no tools yet. Replace the hard-coded, gotcha. Database, React Flow, prompt compiler and cache, got it. Voice layer update, okay. All right, let's do this. So Gemini 3.1 Pro. I'm gonna say, okay, I want you to run git before we start building out the code, or I want you to add this to the plan. Run git status, and then check out to a new branch with an appropriate name. You know what? We might just do it on main for now. That's fine. We got to get these repositories up to GitHub too. Once we're done with this, we'll get them pushed up. And then we'll start building out issues. Once we get a little further along, I really want to start building out issues of all of our different features, ideas, bugs. We'll put all the issues inside of GitHub. Then we'll start using the GitHub MCP server, pull those down, and start trying to work on different things in like parallel. You know, personally, I like to, when I'm doing kind of thinking through complicated stuff like this, I like to, especially because I'm going to go try to sell this to real enterprise companies. You know, I need to kind of understand what's going on, but behind the curtain a little bit. At least for me, I like to. Yeah. Hold on. Let me think. Yeah, we're gonna put pretty much. We'll do more like. We'll try to work on more issues in parallel inside of work trees eventually. But again, you know, when it's very complicated stuff like this, I need to kind of understand what's going on behind the curtain. So I like to steer really like a single agent. Instead of trying to, you know, having like 5 terminals open and running 5 issues at the same time. At least when I'm really down in the trenches like this. So okay, cool. So let's go ahead and start building this out. Can you run git status in the services that we're about to modify? Just want to make sure that the working tree is clean before we get started here. Okay, we're on main. Normally, I'd be checking out. Ooh, feature debug bash dashboard. Okay. Untracked files. Okay. Yeah, so when you modify Cactus Web, I guess you can just stay on the debug dashboard branch for now, right? The other 2 services, it's okay to stay on main for now. Hey, Imperium, cool. Happy to have you. It's not super active right now, but doing my best to, gonna keep trying to stay consistent with the streaming and see if we can get more people in Discord. For sure. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. All right, here we go. We're building out the plan. Hey, John. So a couple things. So first, really 2 different businesses we're working on. So we have the telematics video business. So this business is more mature. I have dash cameras in vehicles. And these are AI dash cameras. So anytime there's events like hard brake, hard turn, quick acceleration, following too closely, erratic lane departure, fatigue, driver fatigue, it triggers events or shock or severe shock. The camera will trigger an event and our system will ingest it. So these are telematics video cameras, so they record GPS and video data. So here's my mapping system. And this is all Three.js on top of Google Maps. So we do basic mapping. We have geozones, where when the cameras and vehicles enter and exit geozones, we get alerts. We have footage where you can request footage over the air from cameras, without the camera having to come back to the yard and pull the SD card out of the dash camera. We have reporting where you can go look at critical event reports. So I can go check out these critical event reports for the last month. Pull up any critical event reports, like here's DSM distraction, driver ID. This is actually a picture of me in my car doing driver ID. Here's DSM distraction. So we have these different, pretty much edge AI that's recording events at the edge. So looking for like when my eyes are closed or open, stuff like that. Then what we're doing is we're doing we have a coaching layer that we put on top of this. So we're using open source models to do object detection and depth estimation and look for relevant objects. And then what I'm doing is we put together a reconstruction where we have a 3D simulation of that event. And all of this is for anyone who's like a fleet manager to help manage the safety of their fleet, right? And then we have a report that we put together where we let you know what's the risk score, right? What's the distraction score? What happened in the event? And then we start analyzing the relevant images, and then we come up with action plan for a driver and a coach to sit down together and complete this worksheet to try to get safer. And then we're also building this agents business, and this is really like version 0 here, but putting together an agents business where really any type of business in any vertical can set up simple business workflows. So we're actually testing the OpenAI Realtime API right now, and we have that working, where we're making outbound calls, and then we're using the OpenAI model to do voice, right? And it sounds pretty natural. And as the models get more and more intelligent, you're going to see these voice agents be almost like indistinguishable from humans, right? So we have, we're building out this agents business, or working on mini digital employees. And the plan is to take these agents and deploy these agents into the telematics video business and really focus on that vertical first. Profile name to a real AI model using a real LLM. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. It's like a real AI bot, right? So, okay. So now what we're doing is we're working on the orchestration for the voice agent. So we went through some different open source projects, a Mem0, a Super Memory, LangGraph, OpenClaw, just to get some learnings and get some understanding on how oh, what happened here? I thought it was still working. But just to get some learnings on how they handle the memory mechanism, and also like the multi-agent orchestration. So we took some learnings from these frameworks. Pretty much what we're about to build this infrastructure here, where we're going to have a canvas where you can set up your simple business workflow. And this could be anything. This could be some sales discovery workflow. It could be some customer support workflow. It could be some operations workflow. And so we're about to build this, actually. And I'm doing all this right now with Gemini 3.1 Pro. And so we're going to see if Gemini is able to do it. So let's see. Something happened here where I told it to go ahead and move forward, but it didn't. But let's click build now. Cool. Yeah, let me know how anti-gravity is. I know I'm pretty deep into Cursor right now, but very interested in, as Google, one thing I noticed is that Anthropic, was really at the frontier of coding for a long time, but it's pretty clear that, as Google starts to fire up the jets, they're starting to catch up quickly as they start to mobilize and ramp up and scale out their infrastructure and scale up the resources. And the models seem to be getting better and better. So very, very interested in what Google is going to be able to do. I know that product originally started, I think, as like Windsurf, I think. Then it got acquired by somebody, then Google ended up getting some sort of licensing rights and ended up hiring the team. So definitely very interested in that. There we go. Yeah, John. So I'm kind of switching back and forth. Sometimes I use the Codex in the terminal. Sometimes I've been using the new Codex app. It is a little slow, to be honest. I don't know. I've noticed some when I'm really grinding in here, some pretty significant slowdown. But it's been okay. Using the Codex GUI. Also, sometimes I just spin up Ghosty and just do Codex right in the terminal. But yeah, I do still definitely like Cursor. I still, I came from VS Code using GitHub Copilot, and so this was pretty natural for me to jump straight into Cursor. Definitely interested in in open code though, and really interested in, as the models get more intelligent, maybe, the front end of the IDE just becomes unnecessary overhead, right? And really, you have like this headless terminal approach where you're doing this multi-agent orchestration, pulling down all these issues, spinning them up into work trees, and you never have to look at the code and everything works, right? I still kind of deploy to some production systems, so every now and then I have to kind of get into the trenches and just put my eyes on the code a little bit. So that's why I'm still using the IDE. Okay. Oop. Okay. Creating some new tables here. And if you haven't already, guys, please follow, like, and subscribe. It helps push this content out to more people. Yeah, that's what I was doing with OpenCode, or attempting to. OpenCode Gemini CLI and Codex. Yeah, definitely. You know what I'm interested in too, John, is finding a way to maintain state, right? When using all of the different agentic tools, right? So, some way to be working across all of these different tools, but somehow maintain some sort of state between them. I'm also interested in when it does get super intelligent and we get to this point of full-on agent swarms, right? How can we keep these agents working in these isolated sandboxes inside of work trees, but also have them pass state between each other, right? Or pass state between these sandboxes without any corruption. You can if you use ACP. Yeah, I just saw Cursor. That's agent client protocol, right? Interesting. Yeah, I saw Cursor just release that or ACP connectivity with like 40 different clients or something. I need to look into that. Interesting. Awesome. Yeah, I haven't really dug into OpenClaw too much. I actually just reviewed how OpenClaw is handling some of that orchestration. See if I can find it here. Yeah, so like here's some of the memory, kind of the way that I'm thinking about handling memory. So really separating the memory into like procedural memory and episodic memory. And then also, like kind of like an evolving facts or evolving memory where maybe the latest fact or the latest memory is more relevant than a memory from 2 days ago, right? So thinking through, really, I thought through the way like mem0, super memory, LangGraph, OpenClaw, the way that these systems handle memory. And then we took some of those learnings and trying to build out our own memory mechanism. But definitely interested in this orchestration across the different agentic tooling. Very, very interesting. Let me see if I can actually find where we... Let's see. Okay, yeah, so here were like some of the key learnings that we got from mem0, OpenClaw, and supermemory. So, and this is just what's on my mind right now is this memory mechanism. And I don't know, John, if you have any more sophisticated memory mechanism or if you're thinking through like how you're building that harness or your agent that orchestrates these different agentic tools. And I'm not sure if maybe you're thinking through some of this memory stuff, but really like this memory evolution, what I just described, understanding like understanding procedural memory and also episodic memory, and then where to store the memories, right? Should we be storing them in Redis? Should we be storing them in Postgres? And then when and why are we doing that, right? And so we're using the OpenAI Realtime API as the voice layer. Then we have LangGraph as our orchestration layer for tool calling. And then we're kind of putting our own memory layer wrapper around that is the idea. So let's go back down. Let's keep going here. I don't know why this table is taking so long. No way these tables taking this long. Did you get stuck? Okay, here we go. Might actually have the front end up already. Let me see. Or we need to reboot the services though. Okay. Okay, Gemini's still working through it here. And if anyone has any questions about what I'm doing, how I'm thinking through the memory, and if you go to the beginning of the stream, if anyone's interested in like what the voice real-time OpenAI real-time API voice API and how natural it sounds, at the beginning of the stream I actually did a demo of the voice agent. Okay, so can you start the front end services and the back end services? And what is the URL to visit the new Canvas front end? Actually, I'm gonna have this other, because we need to start our back end with a proxy. Let me see. Can you kill the front end and back end and start them up again? Or actually, hold on. Give me the commands we used to start the front end and back end. Remember, we had the proxy issue with the back end sandbox and Twilio throwing the forbidden error. Give me the commands to start the front end and back end with the appropriate proxies so the sandbox doesn't cause problems. Okay. Where is it? Hold on. Okay. Above are the commands we use to start the front end and back end. In the past, Twilio was having challenges accepting requests from our backend sandbox, so make sure you use these commands. We're going to probably need to update the start phase 1 shell script, right? So it starts up the LangGraph service. Give me your thoughts. I want to kill these, kill the back end and the front end service and restart them, but I don't want to kill the ngrok tunnels. I want to keep these up for now. Make sure you don't kill the ngrok tunnels. And what's the exact URL of the new Canvas front end? And hey, everybody, if you haven't liked and subscribed or followed, please do that. It helps push this content out to more people. This channel is really all about vibe coding live. We're going to be building the telematics video business together and exposing those risk tools as an MCP server. We're also going to be building this agents, mini digital employees business together, and exposing these agent tools as an MCP server. And we're going to be deploying these agent tools into our telematics video business, and everyone's going to be able to come along on that journey together. Hold on. What are these redwood brokers? Why are there so many ports and processes open, though? It's a little strange, right? Just want to make sure, because sometimes I do let the LangGraph tunnels leak on the stream, but I don't think... Okay. Okay. Front end starting. Debug, okay. Agents, /agents. Clicking the builder. Oh, there's builder. Interesting. Okay. Okay, here's the interesting. Here's the canvas. You can add an intent node. With an intent name. can add another intent. Then what happens when we save the agent? Failed to save graph. Okay. Interesting. And why aren't the... Okay, here are the lines. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just curious, what was that Redwood broker process? I just want to understand. Yeah, I'm just trying to understand why there was so many, though. Okay, all right. Just want to make sure there's no funny, weird stuff happening. Okay, so I'm going to ask it to use the cursor browser tools now to go open the front end and review it, right? So click browser. Can you use the browser tools to go look at the canvas graph? I just added some intents to the graph, and then I tried to save the graph and I got an error. I want you to use the browser tools to go look at the front end. Can you do that? So let's see. Where's the browser? Let me see. I didn't see it open the browser window. Agents. It doesn't, it starts too zoomed in, but when I add, and let's let it keep running. Okay, there we go. I was able to connect it that time. So description, instructions, and then parameters to collect. Param name, description. That's good. Okay. To get these wood down, get this wood dropped off here. A little strange how it's killing all these processes. Like, in my experience, when I used to kill node processes, I would just find, I'd usually just kill one, like the main node process. I forget what it's called, but it's okay. Let me see. Okay, we're starting up the back end. Nice. It's navigating. It's using browser tools right now. It's going to the browser. Okay, we had to grant some privileges on one of the tables. I guess that's why we got the error when we tried to write data to that table. Okay, on the browser. Adding more privileges to another table. I guess all sequences in the schema. All tables and all sequences. Okay. Forget what all my intents are, but we'll have to set them back up. I fixed the permission issue. Okay. All right. Okay, do you remember what all of my intents were? Can you give me my different intents so I can try to add them to the canvas? So we're about to add these to the canvas, see if it saves in Postgres. It's going through the Git log, it looks like, to try to find what the old intents were. Okay, so we have small talk. So what I'm going to do is let's see if we can do this. And it could be, when I click save, it could be because this browser's inside of a sandbox of some sort too. So let's open this up. I don't like how that zooms in like that. It's annoying. So let me add this intent. Wait, hold on. We got to get this zoom right. Hold on. Okay. Add an intent. Okay. Let's make this small talk. And where are my descriptions? Okay, I'm just gonna say user makes casual oops. Okay, here we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, user makes casual conversation. Respond naturally and briefly. Okay. Let's see if we can, let's forget about this for now. Let's not do parameters to collect. Let me link these up here. Intent node, small talk. Okay. Now what I'm thinking is, would they be... Let's see if we can save it. So if I wanted to set this up like we had it when we had these intents hard-coded, I'm going to add all the intents into the agent builder. And then do I need to connect all of these intent nodes, or help me understand this? Yeah, that's what I thought. One giant text prompt. Right, okay. It knows about all the intents. Okay. Okay, yeah, so we don't need to connect the intents. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right. So I don't know how to remove this now. Let's see. That's okay. All right, let's just add an intent and call this small talk. And we're going to give it a description called user makes casual conversation. And then respond naturally and briefly. And then I'm going to add another intent. Call this one clarification. User asks you to repeat or explain. Okay. Politely repeat or rephrase your last point in simpler words. Okay. And guys, sorry, I'm kind of in a deep focus vibe right now. If you guys have questions, just put it in chat. You know, I'm kind of like an open book. So if you have any questions on what I'm trying to do right now, feel free to ask. Okay, then we got verify human. Add another intent. Verify human. Robot or AI. Okay, let's add another intent here. Probably didn't need to do all these. But let's just go ahead and hopefully, I have a feeling I'm going to do all these and I'm going to click save and there's going to be another error in the database entry, but that's okay. Let's see. I probably should have just done one and then press save agent, see if we ran into that database error again, and then keep moving forward. But for now, it's okay. Audio's bad, user can't hear you. Okay. Okay. Add another one. Express hesitation. Okay. Okay, not interested. Okay, not interested. This is the last one. Or almost the last one. Okay, let's add this one. Not interested. User says no. So guys, if it was a business could come in here, and you got to understand too that every business, it's going to be unique. I mean, there'll be some general ones, right? Like some of these are general. But so we'll probably have some templates, but a business will be able to come in here and dynamically create these intents and give the intent a name, and a description and some instructions, right? And any parameters maybe that intent at that turn in the conversation that the agent needs to collect any parameters. Then I'm going to add another intent. Okay, this is the busy now intent. And here's description. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go to inspect. And let's go to network. And let's click save agent. Graph saved and compiled successfully. Beautiful. I love that. So here you can see that we had a 200. So this is what the here's what the payload looked like. So we had data name Bill. So here's like what the request payload looks like. So when we just made this request, and this was a post request to our backend endpoint, and we just passed in this payload to the backend endpoint of all these different nodes, which is pretty damn cool. So like if you look at the second node, this was the clarification node, right? And here's just some position information. I think that's from React Flow. So these are all the nodes that we just set up. So now I'm going to ask Gemini, I'm going to say, okay, great, it worked. Can you check Postgres to see if you found the data? Okay, great. It worked. We were able to save the node graph. Can you check Postgres to see if you see the data? And here's the instructions preview. Nice, look. Here are instructions in the database right there. Here's Redis. So we actually also stored it as a string, I believe. One big compiled string. I'm about to see what the value is right here. Hold on. Why can't I open this? In the cache. One beautiful formatted string. Nice. So we put it in Postgres and we stored it in Redis as a formatted string. So now I'm going to say, okay, great. So now if I make the phone call like I was, this will work as expected. So we just set up all these nodes, guys, which is pretty damn cool, actually. It's cool to me. If you make a phone call right now. Wow. Okay, so let's see if this works. All right, let me say, Okay, can you check the ngrok tunnels and make sure they're still up? Okay, they're still up. Let me make sure they're the same as they were. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, can you open and follow the logs before I make this phone call? Okay, I think the log's right here. All right, here we go. Let's see. Gonna try to make this phone call. And if anyone hasn't already, please follow, like, and subscribe. It helps push this content out to more people. This channel is about vibe coding. Anyone who's interested in entrepreneurship, business to consumer, business to business, building businesses. If you're concerned about, maybe some disruption in your current job or your job role, this is a good place for you to be, a good community for you to start learning about technology, learning about vibe coding, and how you can adopt vibe coding and use these models in your day-to-day workflow. If you're interested in a high-level AI commentary or some of the high-level discussions that these different executives are having, I like to find AI interviews that I find meaningful and then do some commentary on those. So I have videos on that. I've got videos on every time I find some agentic workflow, a new agentic workflow that I find valuable or meaningful. I try to do a video on that. And then also we're doing the live vibe coding. So right now I'm about to make this phone call here. Let's see. Let's see if we can do it. Getting the phone number up. Okay. And this is, guys, I'm about to call. This is me about to call on these phones here. So let's see. Well, this is actually making an outbound call to one of my phones from Twilio. So let's see. Okay, we got an error. Huh. Okay, we got an error. I want you to review the Git log because this was working before we made these changes. So review the Git diff, review the errors in the logs, and then let's fix this error. See if we can figure it out here. Oh, it probably, no. Did I think I did? Okay, trying to. Still trying to understand. Sometimes Gemini starts making changes before it'll give you some response of what it thinks is going on, which I don't love. We're about to try this again though. Okay, got the log open here. Let's try again. Issue you saw inside the Go service. Huh, okay. Okay, let's make this phone call. Still same thing. Huh. It's some sandbox thing. See, what is it doing right now? Is it just restarting the services again? Because we know this host exists. Oh, I see what happened. Okay. Yeah, but now the front end service is not up. This might be a codex thing if we can't get it. But let's keep trying here. Good to call now, okay. Try again. Oh, now I'm getting a forbidden. Okay, the forbidden. I know exactly. Okay, last time we got this forbidden issue. Well, now at least we found the host, but last time we got the forbidden issue, it's a proxy issue with the backend service getting started inside of a cursor sandbox. So we need to set up the proxies appropriately. Legal service makes a direct unproxied connection to Twilio. Huh. No, you killed the front end. The front end is down. Let's see if we can get this. Let's try and do it again. Still. Hold on, let me go back to this service. Okay, go back and look through this chat. What did we do to fix the backend proxy problem? It's definitely... Let's ask Codex. We are getting this error right now. I think it has to do with a proxy situation. Can you look into this? Huh. Okay. Okay, I think we're still having the same problem. Can you try this again? Wait, it's not the cactus. Hold on. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, go ahead, keep going. Make sure we're using the right ports. Think. Same issue. I know kind of what the problem is. I don't fully understand it. It has to do with a cursor sandbox or sandbox. Yeah. Okay, here's the phone call. Who is this? Testing. Okay, nice. I got the phone call that time, but the agent's not saying the greeting. This was working before. I want you to check the git log to see how we handled this before and see if we need to make changes. I don't know exactly. I don't know how it did at that time, to be honest. But we're gonna figure it out. Wait, but instead of hard coding it, shouldn't it be pulling it from the Redis cache? Or why is that not working? Yeah, I don't want to hard code it in there. See how Gemini just kind of keeps ripping and running? It would be nice. Hey, Chris, how are you? Really? Yeah, I haven't had too much. My only beef with Cursor right now is, I'm working with I have a Twilio integration, and when stuff's coming over the network, I get forbidden errors sometimes from Twilio when it hits my backend service that's launched inside of this sandbox. So I have to do some like DNS proxy stuff on the sandbox to get this to work. First. Let's see. Okay. Let's try. No, the front end service is not up. It's like I'm having to do this. set these proxies. I'm not exactly sure. Explain these proxy commands to me. Yeah, so it's actually clearing any proxy settings from the, it unsets any proxy variables on the sandbox. Cool, Chris. Yeah, this is the right spot to be, man. I'm doing vibe coding live. So should be pretty fun to vibe code together. If you're a Discord guy, you can join the Discord too. That's where you can reach me offline, ask questions, send if you have some error, some big road, some challenge that you can't figure out. You can always check in with the community on Discord. I can just call from the front end, right? Hey, see ya, John. Yeah, definitely. Me and the Bridge Man are probably definitely getting more deep than a lot of the other people you see on the internet. Okay, let's run this. So right now we have we're working on this node graph right here. So we're building agents or mini digital employees. We just integrated with the OpenAI real-time voice API, which is this API that OpenAI has to do voice agents. And so, like, these are the different intents that we have for these voice agents, like small talk, clarification, express hesitation, technical difficulty. And so we just set up this front end canvas. And then now this front end is sending a request, a post request to our backend. And that post request has a payload. And the payload includes pretty much all of the information in this node graph. And so then we take this node graph and we're putting it into our database. And then the voice agent's going to go fetch that information from the database and use that as context during the call. So let's come back to cursor here. Yes, for sure. Earlier in the stream, I actually demoed it. We're having a little roadblock here, but we almost have it working. Let's see. See if we can make the call now. Okay, here we go. Testing. Okay, when I answer the phone call, it's just silence the agent is not saying anything. I want you to go look at the Git log on the last commit and run a Git diff to see how we were handling this. I know that we had it hard-coded before, but there must be some sort of issue. Add more detailed logging to understand what's going on. Review the code be very thorough and review the code in detail. Yeah, for sure, Chris. And there's lots more. I have cool stuff to show too. I also built this, completely vibe coding this here. So I built a coaching platform. So using object detection and depth estimation to look for relevant objects. So I have a telematics video business too, where we have cameras in vehicles. And so I was able to vibe code all of this coaching safety platform. And pretty much just doing object detection, trying to see how far objects are away from each other, and then determining risk. So we're building this. This is the telematics video business. We also have event reconstruction. So 3D simulations of events. And also building these reports. So we build a report, then we score that event. And these events are like hard turn, hard brake, quick acceleration, shock, severe shock, driver fatigue, phone use, cigarette smoking. And we pretty much put together a driver coaching worksheet, look at the most relevant frames in the video, do a basic review on it. And then we give this event some sort of score, and then we come up with a action plan and reflection questions for the driver. And then we're also building agents. So right now we're kind of working on these two projects in parallel. And you can go check out some of the previous live streams too if you're interested more in this. But let's come back to Cursor. Yeah, but why did you hard code that? Is it not fetching it? Where should it fetch these instructions? Is it supposed to be fetching from the Redis cache or from Postgres? But what change did it make? Yeah, for sure, Chris. So I've been in like the transportation trucking business for a long time, selling software to transportation companies, over the road transportation companies. So I've been in that business for a while, so I kind of deeply understand that business, and that's why I'm going to be deploying these agents into that vertical first, and then trying to get the agents pretty much working inside of that vertical. So Gemini's kind of struggling. Okay, you keep restarting the services and then trying again. And then you just, I think, hard-coded please greet the user into the main.go file in the voice layer. It should be pulling the opening instructions from the node graph. Before you make any changes or restart any services, I want you to look at the Git log, run a Git diff, and see how we handled the greeting, or where that code was, or what the scope of that method was in the previous code before we made these changes. We must be doing something wrong. I'm gonna undo this one. In the instructions field, but that caused the AI to stay silent. Then I hard-coded back in which would... No, I didn't even hear that. Yeah, but even when you hard-coded it, I still didn't hear it. Okay, here we go. Uh, 5.4, not a ton. I need to more. I used it a little bit today inside of the Codex app, Chris. I need to start playing with it more. Yeah, exactly. So, Chris, one of my autonomous vehicles, exactly. So, like, one idea I have is when you have two autonomous vehicles that get into an accident, in the future, you know, it's going to be hard to determine liability. Like, who's liable when two cars that don't have a driver autonomously get into an accident? You know, who determines that liability? So, one idea I have is using these risk tools as a way to expose risk tools to insurance companies, and then using like open source models or maybe a collection of models as like a panel of judges to do some sort of risk scoring or liability determination on this type of event, and then maybe store that on an immutable ledger and have maybe use open source code, open source models that have open weights, so it's fully auditable, right? So an insurance company, if we make some determination that, hey, this vehicle is liable for the accident and this one is not liable, or this driver's liable and this driver is not liable, you know, it can't be like a closed loop model maybe where we don't have any idea why it made some of the determinations that it made. But with an open weight model, the insurance company could at least have their engineers access the model, review the weights, review the code, and kind of audit the process, right? But that's just a really, really big idea. Right now, I'm already selling to like service companies, long haul transportation companies, last mile distribution companies, and so I also have driver ID. So I haven't even shown that yet, but I have driver ID. where you come in and we're doing face recognition. So when I get into my vehicle, it takes a picture of my face, tries to match it up to other driver face pictures, and then we do driver ID that way. So right now what I'm trying to do is identify all the drivers in a fleet of vehicles, then build this and then do risk scoring on the events, and then try to distribute learning content to drivers in real time. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Chris. Yeah, I think so too, for sure. I mean, we're going to be in a world of autonomous vehicles, and things are going to change a lot. And I think there'll be a lot more cameras on the road for sure. Let's keep looking at this. Wait, why do you keep hard coding that? Right to call. I reverted the file to see the old code, and then when I tried to fix, it's lazily hard coded again. Opening instructions. Type the greeting. So do we not have the... Ah. Okay. We need to fetch this from the DB and return it as JSON payload into the responses create event. Okay, but even if we didn't have the greeting in the string, why did the agent not say anything? There's a different reason. Because I see this in the log, which looks like Realtime OpenAI API tried to say this, right? But the audio stream or the audio chunk didn't make it to Twilio. Is that right? Even though it doesn't have the greeting. Let's see if Gemini can get us past the finish line here. Let's see. No, I don't want you to do that yet. We're able to make the phone call now, but when the code goes to go fetch the cached string from Redis and pass it to the OpenAI Realtime API, for some reason that audio is not streaming to Twilio. When I answer the phone, it's just radio silence. Do not make code changes yet. Just help me understand what's happening. Oh, it's some audio output format. Okay, you can do that. But I just want to fix the format bug because it should at least start going through the cache string that we have in Redis. Or OpenAI Realtime API should at least be able to use that cache string and start having communication with me. Let's not add the opening instructions yet. We'll do that next. Look at the git log and run git show. Is that how we were handling the format before we made these changes? Give me an answer to this before you proceed. It made some format change to the audio formatting. Classical. Okay. Bingo. Okay, I'm okay with you adding the opening instructions. I just don't want to have to recreate the entire node graph right now. I just want to test this. Oh. Okay, let's see if we can... So I don't think it's an audio. Interesting. Let's see if this works. Okay, it's the initial node. Good. The front end's not up. Start the front end first. Yeah, I know. Just kind of scream at it, right? I guess I got a little snappy with it just there. What's great about the LLM is, you know, you can micromanage the living crap out of it, right? Where you could never really do that with a human. You know, if you tried to sit there and micromanage the human, you know, they'd walk out the door and get pissed and say, screw you, you know. Oh, shit. Okay, hold on. Okay, but now what I noticed is after we restarted the backend and front end, the node graph is gone, or all I see is the initial node. But I do see the opening instructions though. But I do see the opening instructions now. Why is it not fetching the node graph though from Postgres? I just want to be able to see the existing node graph in React Flow on the front end. Then we'll make another test call after this. Can you review the full flow again? We made many changes and then very concisely list out your concerns. We just set up an endpoint to fetch these nodes. It looks like we're making this fetch here. The same as you. LOL, no, that's not you. I get frustrated with them. I just know that if I was in the same situation as you, I probably would have yelled. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You didn't start the front end. Start the front end. Hmm. It's not returning the full node graph. Maybe when it should still be in the database. I don't remember clicking save. Interesting. Okay, so check all the tables in Postgres. You're sure the data's not in there anymore? Yeah, I do. I want you to add the 7 and 10s back. Okay. Okay, can you add the 7 and 10s back for me manually for now? And then when we refresh the front end, we should see the full node graph, right? Okay, there we go. Here's all the intents. Nice. Beautiful. I love it. Okay, good. So now we should be able to make another phone call in a second here. And
Hello. How can I assist you? Certainly. What topic would you like to discuss or learn about? It seems like there might be a bit of confusion. Could you repeat your request or let me know how I can
are you a
assist you?
human?
I'm here to help. What would you like to know or talk about?
Are you a human?
No, I'm not human. I'm an artificial intelligence designed to assist and provide information.
Can you repeat
How can I
yourself?
help you today? It seems like the message got cut off. Could you please repeat your question or let me know how I can assist you?
I want you to repeat. I couldn't hear you.
Sure. I said that I'm an artificial intelligence, not a human. I'm here to assist you and provide information. How can I help you today?
what's the I guess, how are you today? How are you doing?
As an AI, I don't have feelings or personal experiences, but I'm here and ready to assist you. How can I help you today?
So what's the price of your product?
I don't have any products to sell. I'm here to provide information and assistance.
I'm
you have
kind of, I don't know.
questions or
I'm
need
kind of, I
information,
think I might
feel
need
free
some
to
more
ask.
time. Maybe.
It sounds like you're considering something. If there's a decision you're contemplating or a question you have, I'm here to help.
Well, yeah, I'm having some hesitation.
It's natural to feel hesitant sometimes. If you'd like to talk about what's on your mind, I'm here to listen and help. What are you feeling hesitant about?
I don't know. I'm just not interested right now.
That's perfectly fine. If you have any questions or need assistance in the future, feel free to reach out. Have a great day.
Thanks.
You're welcome. If you need anything else, just let me know. Take care.
Bye. So pretty cool, guys. I mean, that was so it's pretty amazing. So let's see what we have now in okay, so check Postgres and Redis and then show me what we have in Postgres and Redis. So pretty damn cool, guys. Yeah, thanks, Chris. A few, like 6 months ago or like a year ago, it was not, didn't sound that natural at all, right? And so this is fully generative, a voice layer where you can enter in all of your intents and your tool calling. So pretty pumped about this, actually. And then we're going to get a memory layer. We're going to get a RAG orchestration. And then we're going to keep building this out and get it ready to start talking to local companies around the area about agents. And we're going to get some observability and lots of cool stuff. So we got one database row that shows one of the initial node or the agent. And then here's another table. This is a table called from agent nodes. This is the table called agent nodes right here that has all of the intent nodes. And then here's Redis. So Postgres is a SQL database with SQL storage. And then we've got Redis, which is the cache layer. And here you go. So here's you are Bill, an AI phone assistant. Description. Huh. Example. Oh. Save memory. Huh. Explain what's... Explain what's cached in Redis. And explain the flow. So when do we fetch from Postgres? When are we fetching from Redis? And how does that interact with the voice layer? Yeah, so Chris, so a couple, like one use case for me is I generate marketing qualified leads through like social media ad campaigns, through marketing agencies that are generating leads for us through pay-per-click. And so like one use case is we get a marketing qualified lead and sales reps will call these leads, and it's very fascinating, but sometimes these people that will go fill out a form, so we'll show them an ad they'll go to the landing page, fill out the form, and we'll have a human sales rep call them. And when they answer the phone, sometimes they're like, hey, I'm not interested, or I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't know what the product is. And we're still trying to understand how that happens. Is it bots doing it? Is it competitors filling out the ads? We don't know. But what I'm thinking the agent might do is when you get one, so it's not a cold call, but it's more when someone is interested in one of our products, I might have an agent reach out just to do a, and the thing is the sales is kind of a high stakes call. So, sometimes people don't want to be called by a robot for a high stakes call. Voice agents sometimes better for like a more of a low stakes call. Like an example of a low stakes call would be maybe calling your pharmacy to like see when you can come pick up your prescription, right? But maybe a high stakes call is like, someone's ready to buy something and then you call them with a voice agent and they get frustrated. But one idea is to reach out to the MQLs, do basic discovery just to confirm they're interested, get the calendar availability from the sales rep, and then just confirm the meeting with the MQL and then tell them and keep the call very short. Just confirm that they're interested, collect some details, maybe like their email and their phone number or their company name or any details they want to give before the meeting, and then hook into the sales rep's calendar availability, book the meeting, right? Then I have obviously the support use case where I'm going to deploy it in my business and just have it do general support. Then I have use cases where, I get events in my system. Sometimes I have dash cameras and sometimes the SD card throws this error where it's corrupted and someone needs to go format the SD card. And in my business, pretty much, if you have like a camera that has a bad SD card in it and you get in an accident that like results in a fatality and the camera's not working, that's like one of the worst things that can happen. So if I'm having like camera health, one of my customers has a camera health problem, reaching out to them with a voice agent, SMS and email to make sure that we've reached out to all channels to let them know, hey, your SD card's corrupted. You need to swap it immediately before you get into an accident and the camera's not working. Yeah, exactly. So, and I think some people might prefer, like, because the thing is say I have a sales rep and he's busy and you fill out a form and then you have to wait for 24 hours for that sales rep to just touch base with you, right? The thing about the voice agent is as soon as you submit the form, I can call you with that voice agent immediately, right? And so that makes it kind of interesting. So, okay, and what is that memory information in the Redis JSON or the Redis object? I don't even know. It's an object. In the tools array, we're telling OpenAI called save memory. Use this tool to save it. Cool. So pretty much we also have memories integrated, and then we're going to integrate tool calling. So, it's actually a really great day today. Actually, we got this node graph set up. We got the node graph, when we save it, it saves to Postgres. Then we take a string and we add it to Redis. We also have a memory tool, and we're defining inside of Redis the Redis string to have these tools, right? So it has tools available. And one of the tools that's available is a tool called Save Memory. And so here we say save a fact about the user for long-term memory. And so pretty much we're building like a memory mechanism. Then we're going to build the RAG mechanism where you can upload business documentation. So you can upload your business documentation. It will embed that into a vector storage. We're going to be able to fetch that. And then we're going to hook all this up to our authentication. We're going to hook it up to our liquid glass. And so really, and this is going to be the sales and support Copilot liquid glass desktop app that we're planning. And I'm still making a decision on this, but ultimately probably have a plan to open source some products similar to this, if not this. Yes, exactly, Chris. It's always available. That's one interesting thing too, is that it's available 24/7. You'll never miss an opportunity, right? Like a normal administrator or front desk person has to leave, right? Like they go home, they go to bed, they go with their family, right? These agents never go to sleep, right? Now you hire someone for the front desk position and they say they answer the phone, but they also maybe clean the toilet bowl, sweep the floor, and do other things, right? So, it's not a complete human replacement. It's really, kind of like a human co-pilot, right? Where it frees you up to do other more high-value tasks, and the agent will be able to handle some of these more redundant type of operational stuff. So I think that's probably good for today's stream. Again, just want to say thank you to anyone that has subscribed. Let me see. I just want to see how many subscribers we're at now. Let's see. Yeah, so we're at 372 subscribers now. So, definitely, I'm feeling good about the trajectory of this channel, and I think we're gaining some momentum here. So again, just want to say thank you for anyone that has subscribed so far, like the videos, watching the content. It really means a lot. This channel is this channel's really all about vibe coding. So we do a lot of vibe coding live. So if you're interested in vibe coding, we're going to be doing that live here, building the agents business and also the telematics video business. So if that's something you're interested in, this is definitely the right spot for you. I also do like high level commentary. When I find like an AI tech leader that sits down for an interview that I think is meaningful, I like to give commentary on that. So I have some videos on that on the YouTube channel. I have some videos about Cursor and work trees, and how I'm using Cursor and work trees, and really what I think the future is of agentic programming. I have a video on agentic loops and how I'm thinking about those. And so today we were able to get LangGraph set up with a React Flow front end on top of it. We're able to build out our schema in Postgres and also think about Redis. We thought about our memory layer and how to handle our memory. And we got this graph set up with our intents and hooked up and wired into our OpenAI Realtime API voice layer. So again, just want to say thank you to anyone that has watched this far. It really does mean a lot. And I'll see everybody on the next stream. See you, Chris. I'm not sure if anyone's still hanging around, lurking around. John, Comported, Aperium, FN. Thank you for everyone that has been watching. and I'll see you on the next stream.